la loi feeling nous. Nous choisissons la midi. Destin faisait rencontrer. Yo décidé pour y affronter danser. En fait, c'est que dans la tête frappée. J'ai quitté là, t'es besoin bloquer. Libre pendant pour la baiser. Maman est femme pour ça. C'est pour de ça. Ou pas que nous avons caresser comme ça. Maman est femme pour ça. Quelques sont là qui jaloux. Les lois d'amener les caricapous. J'ai besoin de bloquer. Libre femme dans l'année pour la baiser. C'est dans la semaine, ça même campé. Pour l'essayer expliquer. Quel pas de moyen, sans pas tout utiliser. Maman est femme pour ça. Biga maya, bébé. Biga maya, chérie. Maman est femme pour ça. Biga touché, biga maya, bébé. Biga maya. You take my joie. Y'a pas de sérénade là te frapper. J'ai un que t'es besoin bloqué. Libre femme dans l'année pour la baiser. C'est dans la semaine, ça même campé. Pour l'essayer expliquer. Quel baguette noir pour caresser comme ça. Maman est femme comme ça. Yellow. Maman est comme ça. Maman est femme comme ça. Ma bouche te dit oula la 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 la. Y'a que t'es mon elle-même. Maman est femme comme ça.
Welcome all to the 18th annual Canadian Friends of Oakville Albert Schweitzer Haiti Happening. For those of you who were able to enjoy the slideshow and music while we were waiting for the program to start, we thought you would be interested to know that the singer of the song who we listened to was Michelle Martley, also known as Sweet Mickey, and who also served as president of Haiti from 2011 to 2016. What a difference a year makes. When 400 of us met at last year's Haiti Happening, we were one of the last charities to hold an in-person gala in 2020. Since that time, we have all learned, or are learning, how to Zoom in and out of online gatherings such as this. For those of you who are still in the learning mode, I draw your attention to the fact that all participants have been muted, and we ask that you stay that way. You have the option of setting different views for tonight's presentation, and we recommend that you adopt the speaker view. To do so, simply click the View button on the top right of your screen and choose Speaker View. During the course of the presentation, you may have a question that you would like answered. If so, please type it into the chat box, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen. One of our committee members will be taking note, and after the presentation ends, a number of us will remain online for a question and answer period. One of the advantages of Zoom is it can bring people together from a wide geographic area. And while we normally greet friends from the greater Hamilton area, I am extremely pleased to welcome participants from elsewhere in the world, including Haiti and across the United States and Canada. The disadvantage of Zoom is that there are no corn fritters served to us. I do hope that some of you have taken advantage of the recipe that we supplied with our invitation, and trust that you all have made yourself a Haitian libation to enjoy the show. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Brad Berquist. I am on the board of Canadian Friends of HAS, and I will be co-hosting this evening's presentation. We had invited Anderson Cooper to be the other co-host, but he was otherwise engaged raising money for HAS as the host of Jeopardy this past week. In any event, Anderson recommended that we invite a more talented and committed individual than himself as co-host, and suggested my sister Debbie, who is also the president of Canadian Friends of HAS. If truth be known, Deb has done the lion's share of pulling this evening's program together. We're going to start our program by playing the Haitian national anthem. And before doing so, I want to tell you a little bit about it. Each year on January 1st, Haitians celebrate their Independence Day. This holiday commemorates the 12-year revolution against slavery and the colonial powers that ultimately led to Haiti being the world's first free Black republic. In preparation for the country's centennial in 1904, a competition was organized for the composition of the national anthem. The competition consisted of two parts. First, poets were invited to submit manuscripts of potential lyrics. And once the lyrics were chosen, composers were invited to submit musical settings to those lyrics. The anthem was given the title La Dessalinienne in honor of General Jean-Jacques Dessalines, one of the principal founders of Haiti. On January 1st, 1904, the anthem was officially introduced to the public. The 5 verses of La Dessalinienne remind Haitians to remember their forefathers, honor their homeland, and walk together as a unified people. The crisp, dotted rhythms, brisk tempo, and melody contribute to a march that is both militaristic and resolute in character. The anthem is in Creole, but the lyrics will be displayed as subtitles in English. They certainly help us to appreciate the strength of the Haitian spirit and their struggles for independence. So here it is, the Haitian national anthem. It's now my pleasure to call on Debbie to take us on a tour of the hospital. Deb?
Good evening, everyone. What a joy it is to be with you tonight. Isn't modern technology wonderful? I had the pleasure of working at the hospital for nearly 15 years, and part of it was having the honor of working with Dr. and Mrs. Mellon, the founders of HAS. The hospital has seen a number of changes in its 65 years as the community it serves has grown and the needs changed. Mark Roney, a member of the administration team, will lead us through the hospital. Isabel Vaquez, the hospital's communication consultant, is behind the camera as she is on the other videos we will show tonight. Okay, we're just going to be entering into the main entrance of the hospital where the patients go in. And the cash office is on the left and medical records is on the right, where they pick up their chart or dossier, as it's called there. The blue board in front of you has all the fees that the patients have to pay when they come in. And now we're in the courtyard where the patients go and they have their blood pressure and temperature and weight taken while they're waiting to see the doctor. The room in front of us with the white that you can see in front of us is the physio department, which was established after the earthquake when so many people suffered losses of limb due to injuries suffered in the earthquake. The hospital also has a prosthetics department to help make the limbs that people are missing. And now we're heading into the main part of the hospital, and the doctor's offices are on the left and right, with surgery on the left and medicine on the right. There's also a dental room and space for an ophthalmologist when we have those clinics. And we're just heading now down to the pharmacy, which he's going to point out to us, which will be on the left. The pharmacy serves the hospital needs, as well as it serves as a pharmacy for patients to get their prescriptions filled when they leave the hospital. Now we're turning down the corridor towards the lab and the x-ray department. And just there on the right used to be what was my office at one time of my times at the hospital. There's the lab where the people get their blood drawn and the entrance to the x-ray department. And if we kept on going down the hall, we'd get to another entrance into the operating theaters. Now we're just retracing our steps to the left there, again, going out in the corridors where the pediatric doctors see the patients as they come in. And now we're heading to what is called the adult overnight ward, which is a short-term care area for observation for 12 to 24 hours. It's an large open room. The patients are on stretchers all together, and the patients' families have to bring in their meals and kind of help take care of them while they're there. And he's now pointing out the director of nurses office, where I spent many a good hour during my years there. And we're going to head now out into the middle courtyard of the hospital. The hospital's shaped like a square, so we're kind of cutting through the middle part of the square. And this courtyard has been used for many social activities and festivities in the past, where we would celebrate the hospital's anniversary every June. And we'd have guest speakers, and patients and staff would gather there and invited guests to celebrate. And we're going to be heading down now towards the operating rooms, which are now closed off. In my early days at the hospital, this area was all open, and we could go directly from there back down to the lab. But we had renovations done and we're able to close it off, which improved the cleanliness and sterility of the area. And to the right-hand side is the medical library, where the doctors gather and other people interested for x-ray rounds and discuss different cases the patient or the doctors have. Now we're heading out to the garage area, which is a busy area. It's where the generators of the hospital are, the mechanics that take care of all the vehicles. At the end of the corridor is the laundry. And also you may notice there that the roof is all covered in solar panels, as is much of the hospital now. That was thanks to a donation of solar panels from a company in Toronto called Celestica, and Swiss engineers volunteered their time to come and do all the installation and help set up the system, which has greatly helped with the cost of the hospital and also cut down the cost of fossil fuels. This is the maternity department he was just showing us, which used to be the hospital cafeteria and dining room. This is the pediatric ward, and you just get a quick glimpse into one of the patient rooms there. And then we're going to cut back over towards the, back through the courtyard again, as we already did. At least for some of them, that's where the pediatricians were also stationed to take care of or look after the patients that were coming into the hospital to be assessed. And as I said previously, there's another area where the pediatricians are stationed now. And we'll just go forward. And we're going to turn right now, and he's going to point out to other patient areas, medical and surgical wards. And at the very end of the corridor, there's an isolation area for patients with tuberculosis, which currently is being used for the few patients that come in with COVID. They don't have very many cases anymore, so don't have to use the outside area that they had set up. This is the dispensing unit, which is the place where the nurses come to get all their medical and surgical supplies at the beginning of each shift for what they need to use throughout their shift. And that brings you the end of the tour inside the hospital. Although it doesn't show everything, the hospital, we're missing out seeing the administration offices, the finance offices, and all the pediatric annex where the children with malnutrition are taken care of when they're admitted to the hospital. Also outside this building, there are other buildings that contain the community health and community development operations for our outreach programs. And that's our tour of the hospital today. Thanks for watching. When I first went to the hospital to work, it was with the intent that I would become a head nurse within a short time of my arrival, joining the other expatriate nurses also in those roles. However, it was also always Dr. and Mrs. Mellon's intention that the hospital eventually be managed by all Haitian staff. Happily, that is the case today, and the nursing department is no exception. We now present you a short message from Ms. Aroni, the current director of nursing. She is speaking Creole, but there is closed captioning for you to follow what she is saying.
Joseph, directrice soins infirmiers pour l'hôpital Albert Schweitzer de 2019, février 2019 jusqu'à janvier 2021. Mais de février 2021, moi, toujours directrice soins infirmiers, mais moi, j'ai en promotion, moi, j'ai manager des services hospitaliers, toujours pour l'hôpital Albert Schweitzer. Donc, dans l'hôpital Albert Schweitzer, nous avons un département de soins infirmiers qui gagne là-dedans différents services. Pour l'hôpital communautaire de référence qui gagne 4 services de base, pédiatrie, médecine, chirurgie, et puis il gagne service OBGN là-dedans avec tout un bloc opératoire qui fonctionnait 24 sur 24. Mais non pas seulement des 4 services de base, mais avec besoin communautaire, besoin de population, nous-mêmes qui ont un service ophtalmologie, mais qui pas 24 sur 24, mais qui fonctionnait dans fin mois pendant au moins 7 jours ouvrables, de lundi jusqu'à vendredi et de lundi au mardi. Donc, après ça, nous gagnons 4 services qui gagnent des infirmières chefs de service là-dedans, qui a provisionné services aux besoins et qui fait des supervisions en backup avec moi-même tout, qui fait tout des supervisions dans 4 services ainsi que pour les blocs opératoires pour l'hôpital Albert Schweitzer. Mais l'hôpital, ça a desservi une population de 350 000 habitants sur 3 communes, c'est pour y 4 communes, qui c'est Petite Rivière, Vernet, La Chapelle, et nous venons de commune Biancourt, qui inclut là-dedans. Donc, côté que la population est même vraiment satisfaite du travail que l'institution a fait au niveau de la communauté, parce que nous avons plusieurs patients qui toujours témoigné de façon que nous devons rentrer et ils n'ont pas gagné de soins et le personnel est toujours disponible et disposé pour donner nos soins. Et côté que nous recevons nos patients, ça fait environ presque 2 ans, parce qu'il était gagné Méni. qui était passé dans la machine côté que il y a un impact et il pas de espoir que l'État gagne encore et il était pensé première option c'est la amputation mais heureusement avec le support médecin infirmière il vient arriver sur une grève de peau et que lui-même il est toujours à entreprendre l'activité avec néant qui toujours vient normal pour lui et mon ça c'est un monde qui pourrait passer ça pour lui témoigner et il dit c'est bien votre pour institution ça continue d'exister dans le monde ça donc lui-même la voix à tout droit pour institution capable de continuer d'exister et institution ça tous ces seules institutions que nous gagnons comme source de revenus au niveau de communauté ça parce que à part de institutions ça comme l'hôpital là nous pas gagner une autre source de revenus et pour la population est très satisfait parce que nous pas quel autre côté pour aller et leur venir avec un problème nous satisfait parce que les gens qui venir n'ont pas retourné comme ça donc l'hôpital là est très important au niveau de commune donc on a demandé support tout le monde pour capable de continuer à exister au niveau de commune donc je vous remercie merci pour disponibilité et merci parce que vous acceptez de faire ça pour l'institution merci.
Merci, Ms. Eroni, pour présentation. How many of us think of where the oxygen that patients receive in the hospital comes from? Most of us just take its availability for granted. The nurse puts the meter into the wall and voila, the life-saving air pours forth. At HAS, the patients, including premature babies, COVID cases, those being operated upon, and many others depend on tanks of oxygen being filled and rolled to their bedside to receive this precious treatment. In past years, this meant weekly trips to Port-au-Prince with 15 to 20 large tanks to fill. This caused a number of worries over the years, as many times we were unsure as to whether or not the big truck would be able to reach Port-au-Prince due to roadblocks and security issues that occurred during political upheavals and violence that at times we know plagues the country.
Those are the machines that John
Over
put
the
in.
past few years,
No, he put in generators
has been
for the
fortunate.
hospital. John, Digger John. They asked him to go down to Haiti to dig, and because he was handy, he could do everything.
Excuse me, folks,
And
but
the nuns made him go.
Excuse me, whoever's speaking, could you just turn off your mute yourself for a minute? Thank you. Over the past few years, HAS has been fortunate enough to be able to install its own oxygen production equipment, thus eliminating the need for the weekly trips to Port-au-Prince and ensuring a steady supply of oxygen. It is a thrill for me to see Jojo, who is narrating the video, as I have known him since he was a young child and I worked with his mother on the surgery ward. Even as a small child, Jojo was always tinkering with mechanical items. I remember him making a motorized toy car made from old pop cans and other pieces of metal he scraped together. Mostly self-taught, he is now the biomedical technician at the hospital. He learned much of his English playing with the expatriate children who lived on the hospital grounds. Let's hear what Jojo has to say.
As you can see here, we have two central of oxygen. We have a big one, this one. It's have a capacity to fill about 60 tanks a day. And then the smaller one can fill 24 tanks a day with a volume of 2,000 psi. Okay, and this one, it can fill the tank with a volume of 2,500 psi. And then in the past, I think we used to go to buy oxygen, to fill oxygen tank at Port-au-Prince. But now we are very fortunate because we have two instead of one. We have two, and then we used to help other hospitals and other clinics. We fill some tank for them already. So, and then we can say it's not only help us, it can help other people that living in the community, even in the country.
Merci Jojo, compliment. And now we share with you a favorite song of the Haitian community, especially for those who have left Haiti for one reason or another. It is often thought of as the second national anthem. Haiti Chérie, or Dear Haiti, is a traditional patriotic song originally written as a poem by Othello Bayard and later set to music in 1927. The first few lines of the song explain the essence of it. Haiti, my beloved, no other land is more beautiful than you. I had to leave you in order to better understand how valuable you are. I had to leave you for me to appreciate you. I hope you enjoy the music while following the English subtitles.
Faut que moi te quitté, pour moi te capable comprendre valeur. Faut que moi te laisser, pour te capable apprécier, pour me sentir vraiment tout ça où t'es pour.
Un bon soleil, bon rivière et bon breuvage. On va à pied bois, toujours gagner bon ombrage.
Un bon petit vent, ou bas nous bon petit fraîcheur. Haïti, Thomas, c'est un pays qui pioche. L'on en pays blanc et toute figure une seule couleur. Pagan, mulâtresse, belle marabout, griffonne, créole, qui remet belle robe, bon pour tac, bonne odeur. Ni belle jeune négresse, qui comme fait bon petit caresse. Non, pays moins, le tout bel timoun layo. Saut-il en balle ou saut-il en cinéma? C'est pour garder, c'est pour être dialoulou. Allons bon pays, oh mon Dieu, c'est Haïti. Haïti chérie, puis bel pays, passé ou non point. Faut que moi t'ai quitté, pour moi t'es capable de comprendre valeur. Faut que moi t'ai laissé, pour m'être capable apprécier. Pour me sentir vraiment tout ça où t'es pour moi. Pour me sentir vraiment tout ça où t'es pour moi.
Well, it's enough to make you want to get on a plane and get down there right now. I couldn't help but notice Debbie rocking back and forth with her Haitian blood. She mentioned at the outset that the song was written for Haitians at home and abroad. And because Debbie spent so much time in Haiti, she has actually become part of the diaspora. So because of that, when we did our practice run yesterday, we had to listen to her blubber through Haiti Chérie. Now for the moment I'm sure you've all been waiting for, the chance to win one of our amazing draw prizes. And for that, I call on Andrea, one of our Haiti Happening committee members, and her husband, James, one of our board members, to announce the prizes and the lucky winners.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
First, a big thank you to all of you, all of our donors. You always make our evening a great success. Before we begin the draw, we just want to let you know that all your prizes will be delivered to your home directly. So, to start, the first prize is 2 tickets to the Haiti Happening in 2022, as well as the book called A Girl Named Lovely, written by Canadian journalist Catherine Porter, who ventured to Haiti in 2010 post-earthquake. So let's draw the first prize winner. Take up our basket here.
Okay, and the first prize winner is Carolyn Frozina.
Caroline Frosna.
Hey,
You here? No? Caroline Frosna. Congratulations.
that's Carolyn Prozina.
Rosina. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Rosina. Okay. The second gift prize is this awesome basket of 8 wines from the LCBO, and also a book that we just said, A Girl Named Lovely. So let's
Dig up our basket here.
and
Winner
the winner is Barbara Brown.
Woo!
Congratulations, Barbara Brown. Okay. And for the
So finally, our third prize is from Pearl Hospitality. It is a $100 gift certificate to any of their locations, which includes Spencer's in Burlington, the Ancaster O Mill, Earth to Table Bread Bar in Hamilton, the Cambridge Mill, and the Elora Mill, and a copy of A Girl Named Lovely. So let's draw our final winner.
All right, and the final winner is Ron and Susan Romano. Congratulations, Ron and Susan Romano. We're the third winner.
Congratulations. Just a final note, all our winners will be listed in the chat section at the end of the event. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you, James and Andrea. I should point out that there were a lot of names in that basket, and to get your name in the basket, all you had to do was make a donation before the 22nd, I think it was. And so thank you to everybody for making all those donations. Those of us who attended the Haiti Happening last year had the pleasure of meeting Jessica Laguerre and hearing her speak about Haiti and HAS. And by good fortune and popular demand, we are fortunate to have Jessica with us again this evening. When I talked to her yesterday, she was in Deschapelles, but today she's in Port-au-Prince. We're delighted to have her with us. Since last year, Jessica has been promoted to the position of Chief Operating Officer. And in that role, she draws on the knowledge she gained with her Master of Science in Social Administration, and is a key member of the senior management team, playing an important part in leading the team on the ground. When she's not at work in Deschapelles, Jessica spends time with her family in Port-au-Prince and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jessica, thank you so much for being with us again.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say on behalf of HAS, thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your continued support. Last year, we had a great time at the dinner. And like Brad mentioned, this was my last big gathering, actually, for me as well. So to be able to connect via Zoom is such a blessing, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Since last year, I've been promoted to Chief Operating Officer. And in my role for the institution, I take care of day-to-day operations. We've had some interesting things going on for us in 2020, like we all know, and like I believe most of us experienced. COVID was the highlight of the year. Which was quite challenging for us because we were in healthcare early on in the year. But, I say this and reflecting on this, especially with the medical team recently, we're very proud of the work that we're able to do and what we're able to accomplish amidst this chaos and crisis. 2020 was a challenging year for a lot of us. But with your support and honestly, with supporters and allies like yourself, we were able to pull through and prepare to the best level that we could to receive COVID-19 patients. When we look at maternal and child care, our work has been growing. So last year we did over 1,800 deliveries. and at the hospital in over 700 C-sections. So I continue to, I'm here this evening to say that even though we had COVID and the challenges and we had to restructure our day-to-day operations a bit for the patient safety and staff safety, we continued to stay true to mission. And we saw a tremendous, like an extremely high number of pregnant women last year in prenatal and postnatal care at the hospital and at the health center. So for that, I am grateful because this would not have been possible without your support. When we look at 2020, we think of COVID, but for us in Haiti, 2019 and 2018 were challenging years politically because of the unrest as well. And you know, when we reflect back on those past 3 years, I can say that HAS have kept our doors open every single day. Crisis, roadblock, security concerns, our doors were open and we served the community like we're committed to doing every single day. The COVID situation in Haiti, thankfully, has shifted. We are seeing less restrictions for social distancing. We're seeing people doing group gatherings and a lot less COVID cases as well. At the hospital in 2020, we had a total of 89 cases. And so far this year, we're testing and screening patients, but not really seeing high numbers, maybe 1 or 2 every now and then. For our work and our visions for this year, with COVID, we had to restructure our strategy, and we're hoping to capitalize on this opportunity this year to build things back up and build momentum for our services again. We are being aggressive in our community health approach, doing a lot more family planning, prenatal, community health workers, malnutrition screening, and we're staying true and connected to the community. That's the update from me.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica.
Merci beaucoup, Jessica. And thank you for your presence with us this evening and for enlightening us on the situation of the hospital and for your heartfelt sentiments. Before concluding our program, I would like to take a minute to introduce and thank our Haiti Happening Committee members. They are Hal, Kathy, Andrea, Marlene, Ruth, James, and Brad. Special thanks to Bethany, who volunteered her many talents, thus ensuring the seamless show presented to you, and to Barb and Renee for their input, for those of us enjoying some corn fritters this evening. Please join me in raising a toast to them. Now, in turn, we would like to raise our glasses to you, our amazingly generous and faithful supporters. Thanks to you, as of today, we have raised $33,000. I cannot tell you how thrilled we are. Cheers. That being said, we are just shy of reaching our goal of $40,000. Taking a page out of the PBS telethons, you can help us get there. Do not hesitate. The committee stands ready to take your calls at 905-679-0728. Think of the difference you are making possible for the lives of the women and their children in the Artibonite Valley. Again, that number is 905-679-0728, or go to our website, www.cfhas.ca to donate. I know we can do it together. Brad mentioned at the outset of this evening that Anderson Cooper was unavailable to be our host due to his Jeopardy stint. In case you missed it, thanks to this connection and is opting to select HAS as a charity, HAS will be receiving $118,000 from the Jeopardy production team. Before closing, please be reminded that several of us will be available to respond to any questions or comments you may have. For those wishing to participate, just stay on the call. Otherwise, you can just end the meeting once we are done. As we bid you farewell, don't forget to be on the lookout for our future events. The 100 Holes for Haiti Golf Tournament September, the Trek to HAS for the month of October, and all being well in person next April 30th at the Grand Olympia. Remember, your support is saving lives. Thank you and good night, everyone. Have a good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll just give folks a moment to log off, those that want to, and then those of us that are going to stay and answer questions will do so.